Morning. Good morning to all of you, and it's a real pleasure to be back here. It's been some years, but of course we've been talking to each other. I was told that the topic for the day is India and the new Pacific Order. Am I correct? Now, I wasn't sure whether the Pacific was with a capital P or a small p, but either way, we are into it. For many people, I think, particularly in the United States, it's probably a new idea, something very different to think of India in terms of the Pacific region, Pacific Order, the Pacific Community of Nations. And the fact that we have such a title and it seems natural today is an indication, actually, is one indication of what has changed in the world. Viewed from India's perspective, we today do much more business to the east of India than we do to the west of India historically. We look at our key trade partners, we look at our important economic partners, we look at a lot of our strategic interests. A lot of it is today extending eastwards into the Pacific and beyond. Now, what this has given rise to in the last few years is a concept of Indo-Pacific. That too has been readily embraced by many and contested by a few. But again, it's a concept that has actually gained ground. I often reflect on the fact that the separation, in a way, of the Indian Ocean and the Pacific region is something actually which was an outcome really of the Second World War. That if one looked at a global strategy and global understanding, before that the Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean were dealt with in a much more integrated way, with the emphasis on the Indian. So in some ways, what you are seeing today of the Indo-Pacific coming together, the idea of India contributing in many ways to a Pacific order, is something which reflects really the rebalancing that is today taking place in the world, a rebalancing in which the changed capabilities, positioning, and attitudes of the United States is the central driving factor, but also in one in which the rise of China and its implications is obviously a very, very crucial issue. But to which there are many other moving parts, but an important one is also that of India. Now, related to the Indo-Pacific, again, over the last 6 years, another concept which has gained ground is that of the Quad. It was revived in 2017. After a gap, it was attempted first in 2007. It did not last. It was revived after a decade. It's an interesting question why it worked this time when it did not work the first time. Not just worked, but if you see in 17, it was done at a bureaucratic level, at an undersecretary level in the US. In 19, it became a ministerial forum. In 21, it became a presidential, prime ministerial forum. And at every stage, there were people who said, well, this is where it sort of fizzles out. And it seems to be growing from strength to strength. And we will have the privilege of hosting the summit next year in India. In terms of the Pacific Order, I think a lot of the global concerns are most acute in the Pacific. One is, one of course is the larger issue of how do you maintain stability in the middle of very major change taking place, because often sharp changes in balances of power and interest and influence can create risks whose management therefore becomes a very crucial issue. But there are some other, I think, key issues today in the world which center particularly around the Pacific. One of them is the building of reliable and resilient supply chains, because the experiences of the last few years have taught us their importance. The other is the promotion of trust and transparency on anything to do with digital. So whether it's telecom, or whether it's artificial intelligence, or whether it's the car that you are driving, really today the importance of trusted providers, trusted sources, trusted geographies, I think this is today a very, very big issue. The third is the over-concentration of production, especially of manufacturing, that if you have over-concentration which is liable to be leveraged, had it happened in any of our national economies, it would have attracted antitrust provisions. Yet it happens in the world, and we are all blissfully, we are sanguine about it. So what are the dangers of over-concentration? What are the implications of over-concentration? How are they leveraged? How are they weaponized? I think is a very big issue today in the world. And if you put it together, I would suggest to you that the world is badly in need of some form of re-globlaization. That globalization itself is undeniable. It has struck very deep roots. It has tremendous benefits, nobody doubts that. But the particular model of globalization, which has evolved over the last 25 years, obviously has a lot of risks inherent in it. And today, how to address those risks and create a safer world is part of the challenge facing the Pacific Order. So let me just end with one last remark, because John, there was something you said, which was India and the United States have never really worked before together. I think that is a very thoughtful observation, because dealing with each other is not the same as working with each other. In the past, we have always dealt with each other, sometimes not entirely happily. But working with each other is really uncharted territory. It is a territory which we have both entered in the last few years. And it has required both of us really to overcome what my Prime Minister called the hesitations of history when he spoke to the Congress a few years ago. So how do we create that ability and the convergences and hopefully the comfort to work together? I think that would be very crucial to the future of the Pacific Order. So perhaps with those remarks, Walter, if you would allow me, we can start the conversation.